Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this morning's monthly service, July. And so today's sermon, I'm going to give the one I gave in Vancouver. So in Vancouver, they just had their 60th anniversary. It was on May 31st, just last month. And it's about Reverend Matsui, Reverend Fumio Matsui, which is the picture all the way to the left on the bottom row. He's the third head minister of the Konko Church of San Francisco. And he's gone through a lot, and it's pretty interesting what he's gone through. And so the Vancouver Church was founded in 1966 by Reverend Fumio Matsui. And so how that even happened was he's the father of Reverend Alan Sensei. Alan Matsui, he's doing the camera work right now, along with Christian. But he's Reverend Alan Sensei's father. Love his, it always greets me in the morning. It's great. And so the so the beginnings of Matsui Sensei, he graduated from Waseda University, and then he didn't even want to become a minister. He's like, he's born and raised in a church as well. And so he was like, no, I'm not going to become a minister. Don't forget that. Never, ever. So he went to college and did all of that. But interesting thing happened was World War II happened. And then atomic bomb happened. Yeah, big deals. And so it's a huge deal. And so what happened was his fiance or his partner, Fumiko Matsui, which sounds very similar in name, Fumio and Fumiko. But his wife or fiance was in Hiroshima when the bomb happened. And hearing of this news, you hear nothing but, panic. That's all I could think of. And so he made a huge promise to Kami-sama. If I can find her and she's well, I'm going to become a minister. Interesting, lo and behold, the father found her. She was in a hospital and she was doing okay. Suffered burns here and there, but she was doing okay. And so that really sealed the deal for his, the power of prayer. And because this is something that you can't rely on anything but Kami-sama, right? In this kind of situation. And he was able to find Fumiko, his wife. And then he went to seminary school in Okayama, Japan, and became a minister there. And he was an instructor there for the Gakuin Seminary. And interesting thing was there was a minister, there was a believer from San Jose Church way back when, went to Hombu and talked to Matsui Sensei and said, the mainland, we need some help here. There's a lot of people here. We could use some people to spread Toritsugi, spread prayer, spread the teachings. Would you want to come here? And he's like, sounds good, I'll go. And so that's what he did. Just one conversation from a believer in San Jose, it changed his whole life around. And he came to San Francisco first. And he was doing Goyo here for a couple of years. And then he went all over the place. I have a list of the places he went to. Yeah, he went all over the Pacific Northwest, serving believers in Seattle, Portland, Tacoma, and Vancouver. And missionary work wasn't easy at the time because, it was during the time after war. It was very difficult. Even in Canada, there were Canadians interned there as well. And it's a history that they don't speak about very much, but even in Canada, there was those internment camps and displacement of Canadian Japanese there. And so he worked to help develop the faith there in Vancouver and started the Vancouver Church. And interesting thing, too, about his deep faith. So when he was in Seattle with his whole family, he was asked to go to Seattle Church and to watch that church for a couple of years. During that time, Reverend Shinko Fukuda, Fumio Fukuda Sensei, Yoshiaki Fukuda Sensei's wife, second head minister of this church, the lady second left on the photos there. So she asked Matsui Sensei, a person passed away in Chicago. Can you do a service there? And he was like, I have no money. But yes, I'll go. And so what happened was, Alice sister told me about this. He prayed hard, and he knew that something's going to happen. And somebody who owed the church some money from borrowed money was returned at that time. And so he was able to buy a one-way bus ticket to Chicago. One way. I have a hard time just going one way to Oakland, or like somewhere like San Jose. But he went to Chicago on a one-way bus ticket to do a memorial service, the funeral for this person in Chicago. And to do that, for him, I don't think it was that difficult of a decision in a way. And the reason why is because he had this firm belief that things will be all right. Kami-sama has got my back. I'm praying on it. Things will be all right. And so he did a one-way ticket, did the service, and then a church member said, "Oh, how are you getting home?" It's like, I don't know. And but they were able to gather funds from the other believers, and they were able to have enough funds for him to take a bath. And it's that level of faith, that trust, that I think it's through all his experiences with his wife, with his life, with his family, that he had this absolute trust. Just like what Fukuda Sensei, the founder of the San Francisco church, says, to have absolute trust. But to have absolute trust, it doesn't come automatically. It comes through experiencing these blessings. And Matsui Sensei experienced so much of these blessings in his life. And so it's just a great reminder for myself and others as well to think about that too. And so in 1889, Roderick Hashimoto Sensei became the head minister. And then he's been serving there ever since. And just thinking about all the struggles that Matsui Sensei went through, Rod Sensei went through, their families went through, is tremendous. And a huge part of that is, it's because they chose faith. They choose to practice faith. They choose to come to do goyo every day. And with that, they built a foundation of goyo. Like, I'm allowed to do this. It's a sacred kind of service. It's not work. It's service. You're serving Kami-sama. You're serving the people. You're serving the community. And that's what Rod Sensei and Matsui Sensei did in Vancouver. And so some of these things, they're 60 years. 60 years. Even to this day, the Vancouver church is still there. And so 60 years of choosing this faith, 60 years of choosing to do goyo without giving up, no matter how hard it got. Because I remember even for my parents, when I was growing up, we would have no church members sometimes coming to the monthly service. It would just be our family. But we still had the service. We still did the full thing as if there were 100 people here, because it's not for, it's not just for somebody. It's for Kami-sama. It's for ourselves. It's for our spirit. And it's that spirit that's what, Rod Sensei, all the ministers here, all the ministers up there as well have. It's so important to have that spirit of goyo. And so we gathered here in there's three things that I talked about remembrance. There's a big remembrance about remembering the past 60 years, remembering the past people who've helped us all these years, even people who've passed away. Today's memorial list was fairly long. But thinking about all the names in there, it's people who've touched us, right? Over the past many years I've been here, all of those names, a lot of the people in there I remember. I remember their presence here, their goyo, their just being here. So it's remembering about the struggles, the difficulties, the contributions that everyone gave us. Another thing is about reflection. So it's about reflecting on that past. It's like remembrance too, but it's kind of like reflecting on ourselves though. Because without that reflection, we can't really improve if we don't try to reflect on ourselves. And so I remember a couple weeks ago, we talked about a teaching about how we're blind. So there's a minister in Osaka. He was blind. He didn't have any eyesight. His name was Shirakami Shinshiro. And he was one of the disciples of the founder. And he came to the founder's worship hall, and after many years, he was able to regain his sight. And then the minister told me that through his deep, sincere practice of faith, he was able to regain his sight. But it wasn't just that. He reflected and changed his life. He was kind of swindling people before he started to faith. He was kind of doing some underhanded things, is what I learned of too. But when he went to the founder of Sidomai, straightened him right up. He stopped that. He was doing a real honest, sincere business, and his whole life changed. And that's how I feel, with that change of heart, with that reflection, with that change, he was able to regain his sight as well. And so, within Konko faith, there's a lot of our own personal responsibility. And so sometimes we want Kami-sama to give blessing. We want the minister to pray for us. We want other people to pray for us. But actually, a lot of it's our own too. Are we praying as well? It's like somebody who says, like, I want to be wealthy, but are you going out, doing the studies, doing the work, going out there applying for jobs and things like that? There's things just don't happen without our moving as well. And so the last part is about resilience, for this time and even for the future, 60 years from now, 100 years from now, for the Vancouver church, even this church as well, to be resilient. It's been resilient for all these years. There's so many things that this community has gone through. Looking back at the pictures, the black and white pictures, they've gone through so much. And to have that kind of resilience, it's instilled within us. We have that capacity, that capability to be resilient as well. So to think about that, again, thinking about choosing this faith, choosing any faith for that matter, whatever faith that you walk in, choose that faith, practice that as much as you can, even in our everyday doable lives. It has to be doable, or else it's going to be harder to practice. And so one of the other things that I wanted to end with too is that Jane Hashimoto Sensei, not Sensei, she's pretty much Sensei, but was Rod Sensei's wife, right? Without the wives here at this church, at all churches, and the spouses, church wouldn't survive. We need each other. There's so much sacrifice, so much work that that goes in to the spouses taking care of the church. And so, big deal, a big thing was to acknowledge Jane's contribution she did to the Vancouver church. For 60 years, it's still there, and you're still doing goyo every single day. And that's what's important. Think about Joanne's contribution. Just think about Haruko Sensei's contribution, which is San Jose Church minister, Fusako Sensei. So many of the female ministry within Konko faith is a foundational aspect of this faith. And that's what's unique about the Konko faith too. A lot of the churches within Japan, within here, there's a lot of female ministry, women ministry, because they're that strong. They're so important. The founder always emphasized that, don't look down upon anybody, especially women too. Women have more faith than men is what the founder was saying, because they go through a whole lot more, right? Thinking about all the suffering and difficulties and challenges that people go through, just to think about that. So I hope we can think about the people who have passed away, especially the list of mitama that we read today. It might ring a bell, might something kind of reflection, a memory to think about that. So I hope everyone can think about their connection with this faith, with each other, and helping each other out in ayokakeo. And so within this faith, we have something called ayokakeo, which is helping each other out. Because you can't lift a stone by yourself. You need like 2 or 3 or more people to lift that stone. And so for the Vancouver church to be here for 60 years, and in this year, KCNA, Konko Churches North America, will be celebrating its 100th year here in the United States, North America. And so it took a lot of ayokakeo, a lot of working together, and continuing to working together to make it last for another 100 years as well. Thank you very much. Thank you.